Yo, what is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing a review of the Rapoo VT9 Pro on my thoughts and opinions around this mouse, and if I think it's a good pickup versus everything else. So first I want to say that Rapoo did send me this mouse. That does not in any way, shape, or form affect my opinion of this mouse or this review. So let's get started. So first I want to start with just the shape of the mouse. The mouse is very, very angular. And for my grip type, this just doesn't work. As everyone should know by now, I have a forward fingertip. I put my thumb behind the thumb buttons, and then I put my fingertips towards the end of all the clicks to get the heaviest possible click out of the clicks that I can. So with the way that the actual shape of the mouse is, it has these two very sharp angular pieces here that really affect the way that I hold the mouse. They're very sharp and uncomfortable for me to hold, where I would naturally hold a mouse, and it's very awkwardly shaped with the slope of it, which again just isn't ideal for me personally. But if we're not talking about my grip, if we're talking about other people's grip, this mouse would be good for a palm grip or an aggressive claw or a relaxed claw. It does have a very center hump, which is really ideal for that palm or claw S style grip, similar to the G Pro Superlight when you're talking about hump profile. That's the only thing I can really compare it to outside of these very angular, sharp edges here, which aren't really good for my grip style in particular. And they're just super angular. Next, I want to talk about the clips. These are using very, very lightweight, spammable clicks, like most gaming mice nowadays are. The scroll wheel is relatively notchy. It's very tactile, much more tactile than something like the Superlight 2 over here. Probably the most similar to the WL mouse, mouse I have sitting right here. This is where this kind of reminds me of. The side buttons have a fair bit of play on it. There's a little bit of pre-travel and a little bit of post-travel. That makes it a little bit awkward to use when you're using the mouse. Again, I don't use side buttons, so this would never affect me in my daily use of the mouse. But when it comes to actually like using them in game, they probably would feel a little bit mushy and not the best to use. Next, I want to talk about the performance of the mouse. This mouse is 4K Hz compatible. I do have the 4K dongle right here. It is okay. So when I say okay, I'm talking about it's usable. You can use it in game. You'll probably do fine with it in game. But when you're comparing it to other 4K mice like the Death Adder V3, the WL mouse, the Deluxe M800, the Viper Mini SC, when you're comparing it to all these other, and I'm just naming mice that I have on my desk. If you're comparing it to all these other 4K Hz mouse, this is the worst performing one out of all of them, but it definitely isn't so unusable you can't use it in game. It's just not the best when it comes to the actual performance of the mouse. So I was recording the part for this video, just showing the mouse tester charts. The Rapoo VT9 is legit the worst 4K Hertz mouse I've ever seen. The charts are very sporadic and all over the place compared to the Thorn, GPX2, Viper Mini SC, and I think I also tested, I think those are the other ones I tested. Just those three, the ones that are on my desk currently. It is legitimately probably the worst performer out of all of them. And if you are buying this mouse, you're probably not buying it for the performance. But yeah, that's just a quick side note. This is really bad performance when it comes to 4K Hertz. Now I want to talk about just the build quality. It feels, the stock battery that comes in is an 800 milliamp hour battery, so it could use that 4K Hertz and not die. I actually took that battery out and put a 240 milliamp hour Logitech battery on the inside, and it made the weight go from, I think it was like 68 stock to around 55, which is, I feel like, is a worthwhile mod just to go pick up a spare Logitech battery, slap it inside the mouse, and it feels so much better. The stock weight being around 60 to 70 grams makes this a really hard recommend, especially for people who are into competitive FPS games. Most mice around that weight are with shapes that people are familiar with. So if you're going into a brand new shape, something like this, that's very angular, very out there, it's really hard to recommend something as heavy as this without doing a couple of mods. I also did take out a little bit of the bottom here. This is where the battery carrier was. I just kind of snipped it, and there's a very clean square there. You can see the battery. It's exposed PCB. It looks kind of cool, but that's all I did to make the mouse actually usable for me in game, because the stock weight was so heavy, it made it very uncomfortable. When it comes to the build quality of the mouse, it's pretty well built. Until I opened mine up, it was completely solid and rigid with no issues. But then when I opened it up, It did get a little bit of side flex on this side. Not anything that would affect me in game. I am putting an unreasonable amount of force on the mouse to get it to flex like this. But when I'm using it in game, even death gripping, I'm not getting any flexing whatsoever. And the force that I'm putting on it doing this is just unreasonable, that most people wouldn't be doing in game. And then the software is probably the worst part about the mouse. I really, really dislike the software. There's not a lot of option for control. You are able to make an account and log in, similar to stuff like the Razer Synapse or Logitech software. You're able to log in and keep your profile between different computers. In the software, you do get a DPI stage setting. You can disable and turn on different stages. I have mine set to 1600, and then the second stage set for 6400. This is what I was using to test the polling rate, was these two stages. Then I have, on the parameters, you have very limited options what you can do with the actual mouse. You have your left click, your right click. You can change what the buttons actually do. I didn't actually end up doing that because it was no point in me doing that. You can also change your Windows pointer speed if you want to do that. And then you can change your liftoff distance. And then you can change your liftoff distance by a 0.1 decimal value, which is pretty cool, but I would rather just have a 1 and a 2. And the ability to turn on or off motion sync. This mouse does not come with motion sync enabled. So if you are a motion sync user, you will not have that enabled on the mouse by default. It is very strange, and there's no way to actually turn it on. And I hope they do add some kind of firmware update to the software to allow you to be able to turn on motion sync. But yeah, that should be it. Hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you are a palm or claw user, this might be a solid pickup. It's around like 50 bucks. I think it's on sale right now for Black Friday. But it's just a really hard recommend for me personally. Coming from it where it stands, you can get the Dharma Shark M3S if you want a really good claw mouse. You can get the Deluxe M800 if you want to get a really good kind of claw-esque fingertip-esque mouse. You get the Felina S450 if you want something with a more comfortable, more well-accepted shape. If you want to try something new, it's not a bad pickup, but it's definitely not going to be the easiest recommend for me unless you're on a very tight budget and this is all that's in your region. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like if you did, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you guys in the next one.